Welcome to the heart and soul of Outdoors Radio. It's the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show. Going into our 12th season, we continue to share facts and give advice on the great outdoors, where stories are told, outlaws are exposed, and knowledge is shared by guys who are dedicated to helping you become a better outdoorsman. Your hosts, Gary McCoy, with a CMA award to his credit, is an excellent deer hunter and angler who's not afraid to pull the trigger or swing a bass in the boat. Mike Eccles, boss tournament trail director and a natural-born Louisiana outdoorsman who loves a great duck hunt or pitching a jig on a cypress tree for lunker bass. Steve Graff, a two-sport Northwestern State graduate and Iowa Pro staffer who continues his pursuit of tournament-winning stringers. Last but not least, Jay Watley, who pushes all the buttons with skills unmatched and does his best to make this program the best outdoor show on radio. Now let's jump on the front deck, grab a rod, and make that first cast with the boys who know it all. Gary, Steve, Mike, and Jay.
Hey, thank you for tuning in, hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger. Hail, hail, the gang's all here.
Yep.
Gary McCoy, the Ranger, Iowa Pro staffer, Steve Graff, looking all dapper today.
Mike didn't get the memo.
I didn't get the shirt.
No, you got the shirt.
Yeah, but it came in.
Fit.
Wait a minute. He ordered all of our shirts. Look at this. Yeah. Well, anybody that's
Well,
watching
look
TV.
at this.
Look at this. This is
That's
like,
why you're on a 2XL.
Jay.
Yeah.
Is this shirt a little large on me?
No, it looks just right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jay.
Fits just right.
Fits him just
Yeah.
right. I got
Yeah.
another one at the house. He can probably still wear it.
Yeah. You boys look
You
good.
remember when I used to be fit and, I
Well, a
worked
couple
out
weeks
and
ago,
everything?
yeah. You were looking great.
If I'd have put that shirt on you bought me, I'd have looked like a float in the Macy's Day Parade.
I don't know. I'll admit I screwed up on, but him I didn't because I ordered what he told me to order.
No, I wear extra large. You got double
No,
X's.
in your mind you wear extra
No, I
large.
wear extra large.
He's like a woman. She never changes sizes,
Well, a friend of mine just bought me a T-shirt from Winslow, Arizona. Standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona T-shirt. Bought him extra large. I put it on. I look like one of those little young kids in the tight breeches and stuff. I mean, it was no bigger than a medium.
Yeah.
Now, Jay, we
labeled
can't,
extra large.
we can't see you. I mean, you got to stand up. But, we got to.
This is the Hooking Up and Tracking Down shirt. It's a new one.
That's our new official shirt.
Yeah.
That
the
looks
stripe.
like it looks like a Hawaiian.
No.
Hawaiian baseball shirt.
No, it's a
flowers.
Hawaiian bowling shirt.
Yeah, but it's got Hooking Up and Tracking Down. It's just in the same color as the flower. You
Is
can't
that
see
a
the
fish
logo.
on there? Is that a fish or a flower?
Oh, we'll go with fish
A fish.
Yeah.
There you go.
for the radio
Little
audience.
Toucan Sam in there.
There you
Hey,
go.
we are hooking up and tracking down. This part of the show brought to you by Despino Tire, Steve Nichols Specialty Traco, Exodus Batteries, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, and Primo Targets. If you want to be a better marksman, then you'll need the #1 target. Tough, durable, and long-lasting Primo Targets. Go to Primo, and that's the Cajun spelling of Primo. Primeaux, PrimoTargets.com.
They're going to be in the
to
studio
learn
with us
more.
today.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
They got a new target.
Yep. They got
We're
a new
giving
target.
away stuff, too.
We're doing something on Facebook, Facebook Father's Day giveaway. Russ Harak will be in studio with us today.
We had a boss championship over the weekend.
Oh, yes.
Saturday, Sunday, we were on Cross Lake. There were so many people excited to be on Cross.
Not really.
They were so pumped.
Well, they still excited Sunday afternoon.
No, there was nobody excited Saturday morning, and there were a couple of teams that were really excited Sunday afternoon.
Sure they
Oh,
were.
absolutely. I mean, this was the championship for the Boss Tournament Trail with Camus Electric, our title sponsor this year. And what we did was everybody that qualified that decided to fish the tournament, we had 81 teams fished. We put them on a list on how you finish for the year, and then we divided the list in half. The top part of the list was fishing for a Ranger with a Mercury motor on it. Ranger one, I forget the number. It was a nice Ranger with a
$35,000 motor trailer, the whole 9 yards.
And the second level was fishing for the 178 Ranger, the aluminum boat with a Mercury motor on it.
I'd like to have one of them.
Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah, you would. I'm
It's
telling
nice.
you.
I really would.
Nice.
Congratulations to first place in the A division. 2-day total of 29.53. Now we guessed, and I guessed 34 pounds, and
I was
y'all-
30s. I was mid-30s.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
fishing was off, but a win is a win. Congratulations, Danny Kellogg and Chad Long. They went away with the $35,000 Ranger boat. Second place, Tommy Stewart.
They weighed 29.53.
29.53 for 2 days. Tommy Stewart and Jamie Williams were second with 28.46. They got $3,000. Randy Devers, Jeffrey Rice third, 27.07 for $2,000. Jeremy Botica, Ricky Lee were fourth. They won $1,000. And fifth, Jeff Pate, Eddie Shaw won $900. They had 25.74. And what y'all have, Gary? I'm looking. There you go. There we go. Y'all had a 17.57 for 2 days. And
Page one.
yes, they are.
Yeah,
Page one.
Hey, we got to check.
And they're on page one, bro.
In the B division, first place, 2-day total of 28.83.
Houghton was in the house.
Yes,
you
sir.
go.
Hunter Golden and Jared Keith, son of Bo Keith, and one of our sponsors, Allstate Timber. They went away with the Ranger aluminum boat and a Mercury motor valued at $20,000. Boyd Wolf and Dennis Wolf, 27-22. God love them. I'm telling you, Boyd and Dennis have almost won a boat 3 times.
Wow.
In good shape the first day, and you're better off being in fair shape the first day.
Yeah,
and
I
have
would
a
agree.
good day.
Didn't
the
they
next.
have like 19 pounds the first day?
No,
Somebody-
no, they were consistent. They
Okay.
had 10.95.
Somebody had
Yeah.
it was weird because Division B had 19 pounds was leading at the end of day one. Division A was only like 14
something,
pounds.
yeah.
Wow. You know?
Yeah. Chris Alexander, Jamie Alexander were third place, 26.42. Boyd and them won $1,500, and Alexander Boers won $900. Richie Kilpatrick and Ernie Smoke had a 2-day total of 25.65 and won $700. And Dustin DeGraw and William Pitts were fifth place, 23.73, $500. We paid out a bunch of money,
Yeah, you did.
and so it was a good
You had
turnout. It was a good year.
$55,000 worth of boats.
Yeah.
I think that is the coolest thing, though, the way you have structured that, Mike. Because there's teams that on that bottom of that fishing they would never fish for a boat any other way,
Yeah.
and they have an
But there's
opportunity
some
to
of
win a
them.
boat.
But there's some of them that are really good fishermen.
yeah,
just
yeah.
had an off year, or maybe
Exactly.
couldn't make all the
That can
tournaments or
happen.
something like that.
Well,
can
you know,
happen.
it's some of the really strong fishermen would rather have boats first and second.
Right.
But what will happen if we do that is immediately within a year, our numbers will drop probably 30%.
Sure.
They just will.
Because I can't beat that guy. I can't beat them. I
I'll
can't
never
beat them.
I'll never win. Or if you don't have a good number of people allow them to qualify just by entering all 4 tournaments.
Yeah.
By the second tournament, there'll be half your field will say, I can't make the championship, I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
what that does is all year long, it cuts everybody's money in half.
Right.
Yep.
So it's working. It's working good.
Big shocker on Toledo Bend for Despino.
Yeah.
Tire.
It was again, I didn't think they would catch them this well, but
They did.
they did.
They did.
caught 'em.
Yeah,
And
big
the
shocker.
deep bite is, if you're looking to go to Toledo Bend, 20 foot of water is key depth right now.
Okay.
They are in 20 foot of water. Even the fish we caught, we had 14 pounds.
Apparently,
They were all deep water.
apparently you didn't know that Saturday.
No, we were in deep water, and then we left. We actually, and David Parker told me this: never leave biting fish. And I ignored that little comment and that little rule.
Yeah.
And we went shallow into the fish where we had shaken 20 bites the day before
Yeah.
on the Tokyo rig
Yeah.
in 3.5 foot of water under hay grass.
Now tell me about this Tokyo rig. Is it all because Eccles had me convinced it's just a gimmick?
Let me just go ahead and tell you. I had Brett Hortman tying one on the other day, and Kevin Jean was. They both saw that it does.
You know,
work.
when we had Mike Iaconelli on, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
He told us. He said it's the real deal.
It is the real deal. I even flipped bushes with it, and I'm telling you right now.
Is it awkward to hold it in your hand to pitch it, or
If you blindfolded yourself
Yeah.
and you would never know the difference.
really?
I think the presentation of that bait, though, with that weight not in front of it, and that bait, it's almost like a mini drop shot rig, in my opinion.
Really?
That bait's floating above the weight. And it's just dangling there. It's not down on the bottom. It's above the bottom about 3 to 4 inches.
Yeah, but you don't have the weight in front of it, but you got a half a coat hanger in front of it.
No, I'm telling you right now. No, because the coat hanger's underneath it.
No, it's in front of it.
No, it's not.
Part
It's
of-
underneath.
I saw swivels and Christmas
Exactly.
tree lights and
You know what?
swivel-
How much does one cost? The whole Tokyo rig.
I ordered mine through Tackle Ware. I have no idea. I don't care if they cost $10. I was ordering them. I wanted to try them.
Well, I mean, I'm just
I
thinking
really
you
don't
break
know.
one. Did you throw it on braid?
I've thrown it on both fluorocarbon and braid. When I was in the bushes, I had braid on.
Yeah.
But out deep, I was throwing it on regular fluorocarbon.
I was just wondering, I mean, when you lose one of those, you break one of those off, it's going to take you an hour to get re-rigged.
You're losing your mega weight and all. And the other thing I like about it, it's so versatile. If you want to change your weight out, you ain't got to cut your line. You just straighten out that wire, put your another weight on, put the new weight on, and you're back to,
Really?
that's nothing I like to
Now, I'm going to tell you what, though. You can only straighten that wire and bend it so many times before.
I think that's why they make it as long as they do, because they know that's probably going to happen.
And do you feel like you have to use tungsten weight on that?
No, probably not.
Okay, because I would worry about
You're not really feeling the weight.
But I'd worry about a tungsten weight
Sure.
on the bottom of that with nothing except a 90-degree bend
Yeah.
holding it on.
I've been using them quite a bit. I've never had any
Hey, let me
issues
tell you,
whatsoever with them.
the way tungsten's going, they're going to have to start offering finance plans to be able to buy a box of weights.
Ain't no lie.
That's going to be an item that's behind the shelf before long.
Yeah.
Well, let's give the Despino results real quick. Benji Gillette and Dustin Rivers won the event with 5 fish.
Those Rivers boys never can catch any fish.
Exactly.
God love 'em.
28-30.
28
in June.
And their biggest fish wasn't even 8 pounds.
No, 7.8 pounds was the big fish.
So that tells you, literally, they were on good, solid 5+ pound fish.
Second place, FLW Touring Pro Andrew Upshaw and Zach Candle. They finished second with 24-14.
Well, they thought they had it all day.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Andrew grew up on Toledo Bend. He's a good Toledo Bend hand. Ricky Stevens and Levi Dyer finished third with 23.96. And again, I could go on and on here. I'll just put it this way: 22 teams weighed over 17, 18-pound bags. 22 teams. It was a very highly 200. I think 26 teams showed up.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more about this though. I'm changing hot topic of the day to talk about what you talked about earlier.
Well,
we want to shed light on some things that took place at that event.
Well, let me just go ahead and mention there were some fish died, and it got a really, really black eye on social media.
Yeah.
And through no fault of his own, Randy was taking the brunt of the whole deal for dead fish.
Yep.
But what Randy Despino did after that has got to be the classiest move I ever saw. And I honestly believe that because of what Randy Despino has done, it's probably going to be something that you see a lot more tournaments do in the future.
Especially major benefit tournaments like that.
Certainly. I just, I already liked Randy Despino. I already liked what he stood for. I already liked, the way he conducts business. I like the fact that, here's a tournament. And, he's already a busy man. He's fishing himself. He's got a couple of businesses to run,
Yeah, a couple.
And the fact is that, he's putting on this tournament for the Children's Miracle Network. Yeah. It wasn't for the bank account of Randy Despino.
No, that's right.
But then what he did after that just speaks volumes of the kind of man that you're dealing with when you're working with Randy Despino.
And honestly, didn't have to really do anything.
Didn't have to do a thing.
It wasn't. But anyway, we're really going to get into this, and because Randy called me yesterday morning. Nobody was more upset about it than Randy Despino.
Yeah.
But I'll tell the story. We'll do that in our last segment of this hour. We'll make that the hot topic of the day.
And we're going to put the blame where it really falls.
All right.
Okay.
Here in just a minute on the Primo Target Hotline, Laura Ashley.
Overnight.
That's her last name? Overnight. She is the head of the Greater Caddo And I want you to see. I would love.
I just saw it.
I would love to be able. I would love to be able to show you Graf's spelling of institute.
I just misspelled
It's
it.
and this is what. Look at that, Jay.
In a stew.
Obviously,
Greater
I didn't
Caddo
proofread it.
Institute.
In a stew.
He was in a stew when he wrote it.
Yeah, and the restocking of Paddlefish Caddo Lake. That's next. She's gorgeous. She's next. Hooking
Hey.
up, tracking down 11:30
Can I
the
pick?
Tiger.
Can I pick them or can I pick them?
For the latest outdoor news and information, check out HUTDshow.com, a site dedicated to the great outdoors. Need a fishing guide or want to know area lake levels? Maybe you're looking for some mouth-watering recipes. Whatever your needs, go to HUTDshow.com to learn more. This segment presented by Daiwa Rods and Reels, Bass Cash Bash, V&M Baits, J&J Exterminating, and Sam Rayburn Marina Resort. A great place to get away from it all. With great accommodations from lakeside cabins to an RV park, check it out. Sam Rayburn Marina Resort.
You know, we've talked about the Boss Tournament and the boats that were power poled down at the weigh-in,
Yeah.
and huge ski boats stuff
Wait.
coming
Oh,
by.
man.
And one of the guys got a brand new boat, and it got loose, and it wound up on the rocks. And I'm going to tell you, Matt Gorham, you need to contact the folks at Toledo Fiberglass.
Yep.
In business over 36 years. They are also the home for the Gorilla Hull, which has a lifetime warranty. Just not for as long as you own the boat, lifetime warranty, whoever
It's
owns it, right?
transferable,
Yeah. They're Humminbird dealers, Minn Kota dealers, located just west of Toledo Town on Highway 6. To learn more, go to ToledoFiberglass.com.
Don't play with it.
Turn it closer.
Yes, every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
you
we go. See, Laura Ashley overnight is here. The Primo Target Hotline live. Hey, how about that? The Primo
Live.
Target Hotline live.
Exactly.
Like in studio
Yeah.
with us. Laura Ashley overnight, the Greater Caddo Institute. So cool to have you. You know, normally when somebody walks in, it's somebody like Billy Phipps, and you'd have to know Billy, and you know Billy's one of God's favorite men on this planet, but he's all boy, and you are like no boy.
I don't know about all that.
You are. I mean, you
no,
are.
I was my daddy's only child, so he had to raise me like a boy and a girl. So
Really?
he took me out to Caddo starting about 1980, fishing and hunting and
Oh, that's
shooting
awesome.
and boating.
1980, what were you, 2?
No, I was a little older than that. I was old enough to shoot
Well,
and fish. And
I'll
There
tell
you
what,
go.
Let's start from square one. Director for the Greater Caddo Lake Institute. What is that?
It's the Caddo Lake Institute, and I just want to be fair because there's a Greater Caddo Lake Association
Okay.
in Texas and
Okay.
a Greater Caddo Lake Association in Louisiana
So,
that are even older.
But
than
we don't care
are.
about them. We care
No.
about you. So
They're fantastic partners too. We are the conservation nonprofit that kind of looks at the big picture of Caddo Lake to see what can we do to arm the community with information, scientific information, to make good decisions about the lake. And so right now, the biggest thing we can do to help that lake is to get the right flow of water at the right time.
Now tell me, how do you combat Mother Nature? You know, when it
Like right now.
like yeah.
you
Well,
don't.
now-
You don't. You leave Mother Nature alone.
My point
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, Mother Nature might have a completely different agenda than what you do.
So Mother Nature was in control for a long time, but Caddo's the only natural lake in Texas. All their other lakes are man-made reservoirs. So in '59, they put in Lake of the Pines and put in a big dam upstream of Caddo Lake. So before that, Mother Nature was in charge. You'd have a high flow of water in the spring, like we're having now, and you'd have some dry times in the summer, and all those different things had a purpose.
So Lake of the Pines works with y'all. If you're getting too high down, they'll hold water back.
Well, now the Corps of Engineers and the flood control is their primary purpose.
Right.
Certainly.
So right
Sam
now,
Rayburn's the same way. Yeah.
that's right. So that's the primary purpose of that dam and that reservoir. So that takes precedence over everything. So right now they are operating it purely for flood control. And all the experts can prove out that if that dam weren't there, the flooding at the lake would be worse. They do hold waters back while the other tributaries are coming in.
Right.
So the Lake of the Pines system is an improvement
for flood control.
Okay.
But now we had to get involved to help for Mother Nature.
Okay.
So people who build dams don't usually think about these things until now. We're really the highlight in the nation, and the Corps of Engineers is sending people to Caddo to train with us. So they're spreading this concept around the country. But they would just build a dam and use it for flood control. And so those variations in water that help the fish and help the forest went to a flat, static rate all year long.
And that's not a good thing.
No.
You really do want low water times and high water times. You want the ebb and the flow because, with that comes change. And it,
which is exactly what the biologist told me the
Certainly.
other day on Cross Lake. The worst thing that happened to Cross Lake
was keeping it
steady.
steady.
That pump down there at the end of the lake, where they're trying to keep it. You never try to have over a 2-foot variation, which is great for the people that own the big houses around the lake and think they should control the lake, but it's not good for the environment.
Certainly. Okay. So you now, in all of everything that the Caddo Lake Institute is involved with, one of the things that you guys wanted to do is reintroduce the paddlefish, spoonbill catfish.
Spoonbill cat. Yeah, this is great poster child to explain what I'm talking about with this Flows project. So it's been 15 years that we've been working with the Corps to try and get water levels released to mimic Mother Nature. And it finally got adopted last year into their operations manual, which is great. What that means is those spoonbill cats died out in Caddo Lake for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons. One, they got overfished and people liked their caviar. But they also need a springtime pulse to tell them it's time to spawn. They didn't know what time of year it was. They don't have a calendar. So they needed a high water pulse to tell them it was time to spawn. They didn't get that.
So they don't spawn based on moon phase or the length of the day or the water temperature. They look at high and low water times.
They need a springtime pulse of water.
Water flow is important to that fish. My fishing partner is a biologist there at Natchitoches Fish Hatchery. He's over the Natchitoches Fish Hatchery. He used to spawn paddlefish out of Red River. And so he educated me
I bet
a lot.
that was painful.
I'd like to have a picture of that.
They like to use turkey feathers, like a special turkey feather to stir when they're spawning.
Look,
I ain't going into
I'm
detail.
not kidding.
Okay.
It's a trip to watch it
That's
happen.
a different
I've
kind of a
gone to the
magazine.
hatchery. It is, but it's the kind I like. Look.
Looky there. Hey, what's
That's the kind of
what's the
silver
biggest
I'm
what's the
talking
biggest paddlefish that's ever been in Caddo that was documented?
I don't know the answer to that. They can get to be about 7 feet long and live 30 to 50 years and be hundreds of pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I got out there in 1980 and they were pretty much gone in
Yeah.
75.
But you know what? Now this is not the first time you guys did this. I want to say 2-3 years ago, you had a restocking thing. Was that through the Caddo Institute?
Caddo Lake Institute working with Fish and Wildlife at the federal level, but also with LDWF and TPWD, experimentally releasing them to see, would this work? Now that we're mimicking Mother Nature with these releases of water, can these paddlefish survive? Will they stay in the system? And so we put little radio acoustic transmitters in there and tracked them. They did survive.
Oh, wow.
And so the experiments went so well that just last year, 2018, is when they did a full-scale restocking, 14,000 a year.
Wow.
Put in.
Is that the plan to continue that?
For the next 10 years.
So
And that has zero impact on the bass or crappie or any other.
No, not true. Not true.
It doesn't.
A body of water will hold so many pounds of fish.
Right.
It doesn't matter what kind of fish it is.
Yeah.
Only so many pounds of fish. And if you introduce, but you're not introducing, you're reintroducing the paddlefish. So if you put 100,000 pounds of paddlefish in there,
Right.
that's so many pounds of other fish that are going to have to. Somebody's got to balance out.
Well,
So,
now,
don't they
the-
feed
the-
on plankton though?
They do feed them.
They don't feed on bait fish
So,
and bring 'em and all.
but
No, just
so I'm
plankton.
saying yes, it will affect all the other fish to a degree. But why? And you told me something about the paddlefish. I was just blown away. Who gives a rip? Why is this important that a fish that nobody catches doesn't taste very good? Why is it important to get them back in the lake?
Well, I want to put it in perspective because the game fish come 1st.
Mm-hmm.
So 300,000 bass just in Texas alone, 125,000 in Louisiana. So almost 500,000 bass got stocked in the last month.
Yeah.
Almost 500,000. And we're talking about 14,000 a year of paddlefish. So, I mean, that shows you. But these paddlefish are the continent's oldest living species. They were in that lake long before you or I ever went
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
I don't know why God put them there, but he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
Right.
kind of wrecked it, so we're kind of putting them back.
Yeah.
And they probably turn those paddlefish when we release them and look at me and go, who the heck are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you told me the paddlefish has been around 5 million years before the or something like that.
50
before
million years
Bef-
older.
than
Wow.
the dinosaurs. Than
My
the
wife was
dinosaurs.
just a baby then.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to have to buy some jewelry.
You got to buy more than that.
Now, but from my experience, most of the paddlefish.
you have no experience with paddlefish.
Well, I do.
Oh,
I
do
do.
you?
Most of the paddlefish. No, my dad, my dad and uncle had catfish traps all over the lake, and they caught catfish for a number of years. But one of the things, anytime we'd see one, Daddy would always make sure that it went back, because, like you say, Mike, they're not very good to eat, and it's been a long time. But I remember back when they would used to let you snag at the at the Caddo Lake Dam, and that was one of the biggest fish that you'd snag. My question then was, do the spoonbills, the paddlefish, do they live basically in a different part of the lake than most of the other fish, or in those little islands where you might be catching bass?
Are they
could
strictly
there
deep
possibly
water?
be a 7-footer
Good point.
hanging in there?
The bigger they get, the more they're more of a riverine species.
Right,
Exactly.
That's my whole
Right.
point. You're not gonna see the spoonbills occupying the same acreage
Right.
as you would those bass
Right.
or white.
That's
perch.
Caddo
Right.
is so unique because it's rivers, bayous.
Right.
It's bayous and open
However,
lake.
all the ones that were stocked yesterday, and I assume you were up there at noon yesterday, I couldn't make it, were stocked out of the Earl G. Williams Park. So they're going to have to find their way to, which is not a big deal, find their way to the part of the
Some current.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
like the big lake to eat the plankton and get fat. And then as they get older and they start to figure out where the flow's coming from, they gravitate toward that flow, especially when it's time to spawn. And
Now
that's
you-
where they're going to find that rocky bottom to spawn too.
Right. You mentioned something a while ago about caviar. I watched an episode of Shark Tank a couple of months ago. Bubba's caviar is from paddlefish. And
Heck
that's what
yeah.
he does. He catches paddlefish, takes the caviar out, and the eggs out, and sells it.
Yeah.
And I was like, so could that become a problem again, you think?
Well, Louisiana will let you bag 2 fish a day with a jaw size of 30 inches or less because they don't want the big ones that are
Jaw
mature.
size, so the
The lower jaw
Okay, gotcha.
of the it's got that big proboscis that helps it find
The spoonbill.
plankton, but then it's got the jaw's the only bone in its whole body. And so 30 inches or less you can keep 2 a day in Louisiana except in boundary waters with Texas. So that means Caddo Lake's
Cattle Lake.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Ah.
they're threatened in Texas.
Okay.
But you can't harvest the eggs alone in Louisiana anymore because it kind of wiped it out. But
Okay.
people do a fishery, controlled where they're raising them for that
Right.
purpose. and
Like the
selling
fish
it.
hatchery.
I was at a restaurant in New Orleans and they were selling it.
Yeah, exactly.
$60.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
didn't get it.
Yeah.
Wow.
They
Okay.
had it on the menu.
As you're stocking these, are you continuing to monitor them with the radios and stuff like that to check their progress?
That's right. So there's a guy named Mike Montaigne from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. He's awesome.
Really?
And a couple times a year, he'll go out and electrofish and catch, a 2-year-old that's about this big and he'll put an acoustic transmitter in it and release it, and then he can listen for them for 8 to 10 years.
So their
And
growth, that
track
was
'em.
my question. Their growth rate is approximately how much?
Well, the ones that were released yesterday were tiny, and they were about 3 inches long. Then next year, if you might catch that one, he's probably going to be about
Foot and a half.
foot
2
and a
foot.
half.
Wow.
Wow.
They grow pretty fast.
Yeah, that
Wow.
is.
They
Yeah.
really do. To be vegetarians, they
That's
get
awesome.
pretty big pretty fast.
Well, I mean, it's not like we have a lack of stuff for them to eat in Caddo.
You know what I'd like to find out? You know how oysters kind of clean the water of the Chesapeake
Yep.
Bay
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like
Yep.
that? Do the paddlefish help at all in terms of that water quality, because they are filter feeders and they are cleaning
I'll ask
up
my
that
I'll ask
plankton?
my partner that.
I want to know about that.
He'll
Somebody
know that
smarter
answer.
than us put them there for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
and I'm just excited.
Yeah.
It's like when people go out there and grown-ups act like kids on Christmas morning when they get to see these creepy-looking fish.
Yeah.
And they get to know that they're returning to a place they used to be.
Right.
And they might be out there 30, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Wow. What a cool.
It is.
Cool
I was just blown
thing.
away when I heard that.
Laura, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Thank y'all for having me.
what a great experience. Will you come back?
Oh my God, y'all! I'm not kidding around. I'm a big fan. So
Oh,
before I leave, y'all are gonna have to like sign this.
Oh, that's awesome. You
Yeah.
bet. You
I'm
bet.
kind of a fan. So I would
Laura
love to come
Ashley
back.
overnight with the Greater Caddo Lake Institute and the restocking of the paddle fishing. You'll keep us posted with what else you've got going.
Absolutely.
It's a really important body of water to us.
Thank y'all for having me.
We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30. The Tiger.
I like to see the sunrise, see the love in my woman's eyes.
We at the Hooking Up and Tracking Down show want to say thank you for tuning us in today. This segment presented by Spro Lures, Cypress Knee Outdoors, Nichols Department Stores, and Toledo Fiberglass. For fiberglass repair, go see the guys at Toledo Fiberglass. They're also your Minn Kota Electronics headquarters. Once again, here's Steve Graff, Gary McCoy, and Mike Eccles.
She smelled good. I mean, just a wonderful, wonderful lady. Thank you
Yes.
again. Laura overnight with the Greater Caddo Institute.
Mike's now in charge of
she
lining
left,
up.
the, she left. You better run out there. You know, Eccles was looking for any reason just to go see her again. Hey,
he ain't limping no more.
No, all of a sudden, you know, the knee is
Big
all
toes,
healed and
well.
everything. Hey, now that summer is here, that means projects. You know, United Rentals has all the equipment you need to finish the job. Their own service mobile technician will also come to your location and inspect your job site. You know, a lot of times got to have that for insurance purposes,
doubt.
you know, all
Yes.
kinds of other things.
Yep.
You know, just company standards could be the case. They're also a forklift and man lift certification dealer. For all your next project needs, go see the guys at United Rentals. Call United Rentals of Shreveport, 318-635-6404. David Duschel and the guys there are just incredible. United Rentals, the job starts here.
And in the Primo Target studio, not hotline, we got the man with Primo Targets, Russ Rock. Russ, welcome, man. Glad to have you.
Good morning. Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
You've got a lot going on with Primo Targets. I know you've done a lot of shows. I'm anxious to hear the response. I know, again, you're a relatively new company.
Right.
And you're continuing to make waves out there. But we've also got a Father's Day giveaway we're going to talk about a little bit later on. But tell us how things are going at Primo and what you've got coming out.
Right.
This
It's
new.
been a busy winter prototyping new targets. We're doing all different types of new reactive style targets. A lot of law enforcement have been ordering a bunch of different stuff. So we've had a lot of people like YouTubers researching and developing, and we've got a bunch of new targets coming out
Yeah.
that are ready to be out on the website, but it's just been a lot of shows and a lot of getting out.
A lot of miles.
Russ, that you just sparked something for me, because you think that a target is a target is a target is a target,
Right.
and yet your business will never survive if you can't come up with something new, and it makes you wonder. I mean, how do you reinvent or to improve a target when you like the reactive stuff? Okay, we got the twirly bird, we got the little whirlwind, we got this, we got that, we've got ones that you shoot and it's a different color under the main color. What's next in the line of primo targets?
Well, before, when everybody would want those nice reactive targets, they're really, really expensive because they're in a lot of metal.
Designed to last, too.
Yeah.
We come in as they're affordable for a lot of people, and they last a long time. So that's the thing we've been working on, is trying to make something that a lot of people could afford, and not just the ranges and the law enforcement and the military and stuff like that.
How important is that sound? Is that part of y'all's development?
No, the sound is just the way the steel is.
Yeah,
but it's very.
But that pling means a lot to people. When they hear that.
I hit what I was aiming at.
That's right.
Or just a spectator knows you hit what you were aiming at.
No need for spotting scopes. You hit.
Yeah.
And it's a gratification instant.
Exactly.
So how portable is a primo target that will withstand a pretty high caliber, round?
It's as simple as it'll fit. Most of them will fit on the back of a four-wheeler, or you can carry them downrange. A lot of people load up a bunch of different styles in their trucks, bring them to the range, and then set them up.
Yeah.
You don't have to have stuff that just stays out there all the time. It's portable is the main reason.
Right. Well, that was the biggest thing for the longest, was the fact that, if you had a high-power rifle, you really couldn't shoot those reactive targets because you were going to destroy them.
Right.
Or if you did have one, the sucker weighed 900 pounds, and you guys have changed that game.
Right. The type of steels that are out there now changes that. So you can have thinner steels, lighter targets, and higher calibers.
Which makes them easier to transport.
That's right.
Easier to deal with. Also, we do a live remote every year in the fall at Bellevue Meat Processing.
That's right.
We went out there this past year, and sure enough, y'all had a target actually set up right beside us on display there. Who else is distributing for you besides Bellevue Meats in this area?
Right now, it's Bellevue and Patrick's Gun Shops.
Okay.
We put together a few wholesale packages, and we're looking to get in other gun shops and stores, and that's our next step is getting more people.
For the common consumer, just best to go online.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not knocking Chris or Carla, but it might be that somebody's listening right now in Jefferson, Texas.
Yeah, Baton Rouge.
Really just can't make it over to Bellevue.
That's right.
You can go to the website and buy it just like it was right there in the retail.
Like that.
Yeah.
It'll contact me. I'll get their information, and they'll get the targets they want. And then on the website, they can contact me and ask me a bunch of questions if they're uncertain of what they really need. So,
and it really seems initially you would think a big deal, a target. I'm going to go sight my rifle in. What am I going to do? How many times have I got like a sheet of paper and a staple gun or a piece of tape?
And a
something
Sharpie.
like that. Yeah.
Paper plate.
And the first, as soon as I walked 100 yards and I got back up there, I looked over there and it had come off the tree.
Yeah.
And or it had blown over.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like a big deal, but to have a quality target that's portable, that will withstand the shock, that you don't have to walk down there 150 yards, is going to increase. It's going to make sighting your rifle in so much easier that you're going to do it better. You're just going to do it better. I mean, to me, if I put one down there 150 yards and I shoot and I walk down there one time and I'm 3 or 4 inches, that's good enough for me because I don't want to have to walk back.
Exactly. Have y'all ever considered, and maybe you already are, into the explosive target market? Have you looked at that?
We haven't done any of that.
You're just focusing on the steel target market.
And we started an outdoors section too, like we do fire pits.
Right.
We're going to do deer stands and,
Yeah.
and deer
Oh, wow.
farms. And
Yeah. Oh,
so
wow.
We're going to spread the Primo Outdoors and Primo
Diversify a little bit.
Okay, now, because the popularity of the long-range shooting has gotten, I mean, that's probably the fastest growing part of the shooting sports.
Yeah, it's very
these guys that are shooting,
Like
1,000 yards.
sniper type. Yeah, I agree.
And have you got a target that's specifically designed for those long-range shooters?
Sure.
Something that's a little bit bigger,
Yeah.
something.
We have 1 mile MOA targets.
1 mile?
Yeah, which is a big chunk of
That's
steel.
that's a big chunk. 1 mile.
Yeah.
What was that, 4x8 sheet of steel? What is that?
So it's a little over 3 foot. but
Does
yeah.
it come with a Jeep to ride?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, to go look.
Need a flatbed to haul that.
That's popular now. There's people doing those 3 mile shots, 1 mile shot. They have competitions on that, and I get a lot of requests for a 1 MOA 1 mile target.
What about what about for archers? Have you gotten anywhere into that? I mean, for the 80 grain bolts and stuff like that.
We haven't done anything
Yeah.
for that.
That could very well be something in the future. I mean,
For
you
sure.
guys, the world is looking for primo targets on all of this kind of stuff. And I think about with what's his name, Michelek.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When you see them, they're having to haul a balloon 3/4 of a mile down the road to be able to do that. And now, with primo targets, you're able to shoot. And can you still hear that?
Yeah, you can. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it is.
You can hear that sucker hit
Yeah, you can.
at a mile away.
It depends on what gun you're using.
And
but
the wind, I'm sure.
But it can be heard. Yes.
That's awesome.
Real quick, also, starting this next Sunday, the week, let's see, wait a minute. It's Father's Day. When's that coming up?
Third Sunday?
So it's not, I'm sorry.
It'll have to
Let
be
me get my calendar here so I make sure I say this
23rd.
right.
I'm thinking 23rd.
Okay, Father's Day is the 16th.
16th.
So starting the Sunday on the 9th, we are starting the promotion on our Facebook page, Hooking Up, Tracking Down. We'll have on display the target for Father's Day giveaway. We will announce the winner on the 12th, that Wednesday show. So it's a 4-day run there. So if you're looking to a target for your dad, your brother, whatever, your sister, maybe your mama needs to shoot a gun, shoot a target, go to our Facebook page, Hooking Up, Tracking Down Show, and share, post, and you'll be eligible to win that primo target.
Do you have a target that actually has Nancy Pelosi's face on it?
we can do it.
Okay,
Can you do
good.
that?
Have y'all done stuff like that?
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
people always want. I get the craziest requests.
Do you really?
Brother-in-laws, mother-in-laws.
Yeah.
They,
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, the terrorists. And
Yeah,
stuff like that.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can do that.
Well, most of it's with stencils.
Certainly.
But yeah, and you can.
What about ex-wives?
We can take care of that. Too.
Well, you know,
I'm still hung on the Pelosi one. Because I'm telling you, I know guys that would pay to come to my house and shoot a Pelosi target.
well, you could also use it to keep the varmints out of your garden. It could act as a
Oh,
scarecrow,
without a
you know.
doubt.
Yeah,
But
right.
you think shooting a gun, hunting. That's just in our mind. But you don't have to hunt.
Yeah.
To enjoy shooting sports, no.
That's
that's
right.
exactly right.
So I mean, you've got just a shooting sport. People that never want to go hunting still enjoy going out and shooting. You've got people. The self-defense and concealed carry permits and stuff have gotten so popular.
Yeah, my wife's
that
got one.
That this opens up a whole new section of people that need a target, not going to go hunting,
Right.
That's
but
true.
they need it for that.
Yeah.
And it is becoming a sport like going and playing golf
My wife
with,
would
with a
never.
certain group of people.
My wife would never shoot an animal, but she's got a list about 500 names of people she'd shoot tomorrow. Now, when it comes,
Are you on that list?
well, of course I am. Of course I am. Shotgunners, can
Yeah.
you hook them up?
Yeah, we do. We do sell paper target stands, and they're wide enough so you can pattern your shotgun.
Okay. Right,
and,
right.
and stuff like that. And we can also do a big chunk of steel, and you can pattern your shotgun on that.
Well, that's one of the things that Mike has talked about, especially for duck hunters, is to find the right shell for your gun.
That's right.
Because just because Mike's gun might
Rio,
the Rio 3.5 inch,
right.
number 4.
Right.
My shotgun might like the Rio number 2
Yeah.
in a 3.
2 and 3/4. Yeah.
You know, and so a lot of times, you know, you really need to run a bunch of rounds through your gun to be able to find out. Same thing with rifles and stuff like that. I bet you are huge with those guys who do a lot of loading and stuff like that.
Yeah, that and competition shooters.
Yeah.
and stuff. It's a small community.
Now, I'm gonna make you $1 million, and I just want my royalties off of it. So I'm serious. If you can come up with a pair of glasses that you can wear while shooting a shotgun, that like heat activated, that you can see your shot.
Okay.
If I knew where my first shot went, I would never miss a duck on the second shot. I'm not one of those people that can say, "Oh, I shot ahead of it or I shot behind it."
Yeah.
If you could see your shot with a shotgun, you'd never miss. You should never miss.
Well,
a
I
second.
watch my wad.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, wherever my wad.
Well, you are.
Russ, while you're here, I want to say thank you to you and Chris both for your support of our program. Again, without guys like y'all and companies like we don't have a show.
Boy, you jumped in there and changed the subject quick, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Russ,
I had to.
Will you pray for me, Russ? Will you pray for me? You know, I have to put up with this.
I never said a word.
Every week, and this one don't even have on socks.
Yeah.
And this one over here, my God, you know, I mean,
I got socks on.
yeah,
no shows.
see? Yeah. It's regular. Hey, thank you so much. And again,
Thank you for being here.
Run through the dates that you want to be watching the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Facebook page.
Yes.
Because we're giving away a Primo target. How fast? If a lady says, "Oh, you know, I want to get my husband such and such for Father's Day," how fast do you have expedited delivery? Can you get that?
We could. For holidays and stuff, we work really hard to get it before the holidays.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But normal, we tell everybody it's 5 days. You know, from the time you pay.
But it would be best. It would be best, like if she's listening right now, or maybe she wants it for herself. If she's thinking, you know, hey, I want to get this for him for Father's Day, it'd be best to go ahead and jump on that right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that'll happen June 9th through the 12th. And again, we'll announce the winner on our Hooking Up and Tracking Down show on the 12th. And it go Hooking Up and Tracking Down Facebook page. A great target, good-looking target. Thank you guys for doing that.
Jack Rothell, you need one of these targets.
Yes, no doubt.
PrimoTargets.com. That's the Kunas spelling of
We
Primo.
need Jack's face on a target.
P-R-I. Kissing Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, Jack, you need to volunteer for that.
Yeah. You know, we just need him to model. Hey, thank you. We really appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Brad.
PrimoTargets.com. Check it out. We are Hooking Up and Tracking Down 1130. The Tiger.
Check out our video page for fishing tips and techniques, or if you missed the show, go to hutdshow.com and click on the show. See some of our great interviews you may have missed. This segment presented by Lake Fork guide Johnny Geis, the Bob Seeley Big Bat Splash Series, and Paul's Farm and Garden. Whether you need cattle feed, dog food, or garden supplies, Paul's Farm and Garden has everything you need. Located at 1300 North Market Street in Shreveport.
Here's Seagar Fishing Line Angler's Tip this week. This past weekend, I had the chance to fish a great benefit tournament. As an angler who has grown up in shallow water, it was a great opportunity to learn a few things from my team partner who has great experience fishing out deep. Even if you think you're pretty good with your electronics, watching someone else who knows more and can educate you and enlighten you on what you're doing maybe different and could improve on, realize the importance of understanding how to read your mapping on your units. To be a great deep water angler, you need to understand contour lines and how to recognize small subtleties that make a big difference in catching fish. These insignificant features offers a lot of the times to become a major spot that fish will set up on. So this has been your Seaguar Fishing Line Angler's Tip.
I got you a new mission.
What's that?
You need to put down all the electronics and everything, and you need to find us a sponsor that handles cold and flu medicine.
Okay.
That's what you need to do.
What do you need? Theraflu?
Dude, let me tell
We
you,
want
I don't know
Theraflu?
what's in the air right now, but it's got everybody I know hacking and coughing and snotty nose, the whole nine. It's just
Well,
something.
at least we got the pollen washed away for a couple of days.
Holy crap!
What's worse on me is after the yellow pollen. The yellow pollen don't bite. It's what's out. I think it's the oaks that really get me. But I'm doing good so
straight
far.
up 12 noon. Set your clock for this. If you got to go to the bathroom, get her done now. FLW leading angler of the year, John Cox, and we're gonna have a lesson from the pros with him.
Yeah.
Talking swim jigs and sight fishing.
Yep.
Have you ever gotten into sight fishing, Mike? A few times I have seen bass on beds. Maybe once every 4 or 5 years on Caddo.
Yeah.
Or maybe, I remember it was Easter Sunday. I was probably about 14 years old. We used to have all of our McCoy family events there at Richard Fleming Park on Caddo Lake, and I can remember looking out, and you could see bass on the beds up in the woods right there. Only time I've ever seen it on Cross Lake.
Yeah, I've seen. Normally, I catch fish off a bed when somebody else points it out to me and tells me where to throw it.
Okay, we have the Despino Children's Miracle Network fundraising tournament over the weekend.
Right.
And that brings us to our Exodus Batteries hot topic of the day today.
Which we're changing it from what we got written down.
Right.
Here's the situation, again, as you've alluded to already, Gary, the negative publicity that happened with the Despino tournament, all the dead fish floating up. I told Gary the story earlier, Mike. I had a phone call from Randy yesterday morning, and we actually talked for probably 40 minutes, and Randy did everything he could possibly do. And I hope a lot of people that have been negative on the Facebook posts are listening to the show today, because I want you to understand nobody felt worse about what happened than Randy Despino did. Randy was actually, and he told me what happened, they had 2 holding tanks. Mike, you can understand because you're a tournament director. He had 2 holding tanks, and when they released those fish, all those fish were in great shape. He said, so we released them out. Right there in Sammy Gill right there by the boat ramp, they released those fish. He said, Steve, up until 7:30, which we hung around till 7:30.
They released the fish at 5:30.
Yeah, not a single fish was floating at 7:30 when they pulled off from the ramp. He's in bed by 9:30. Gets a phone call. Somebody calls him and says, there's a lot of floating fish down here at the ramp. He gets up, drives back to Sammy Gill, dips the dead fish out that he sees, and ends up calling a biologist the next morning. The biologist said what happened, it had nothing to do with the care that Randy and them gave those fish, the opportunity for those fish to survive. What happened was, with all the boat traffic in that pocket, without the release barge, where they could take the fish back out into the main lake and release them, those fish were released in non-oxygenated water, because the boats had stirred up all that silt,
mud,
took all the oxygen out of the water. So when those fish were released, they had no chance. I didn't know that. I never thought about something like that. So my point is, and Randy is next year, as Gary's already has rented 2 barges for next year, already booked them. They will be at the landing site next year, at the weigh-in site, and those fish will be taken out and given a better opportunity.
But the most important thing that he did, he was proactive.
Yes.
The minute that Randy discovered that there was an issue, like you said, he called the biologist and figured out, okay, here's what went wrong.
Yeah.
And so now we know how to make sure that doesn't happen again. But immediately went a step further, and he personally has made a donation of $10,000 to the Sabine River Authority to purchase more fingerlings to replace those fish.
Another 10,000 fingerlings.
Yeah, and I noticed that a lot of people a lot of people said, that was the most awesome gesture that they had ever seen. Other people were really complimentary, but they said they wished that all of the big tournaments would do that in the future, that they would add like $1 or $2, $10 to everyone's entry fee.
Right.
And all that money go towards the purchase of more fingerlings.
Right.
For that. It wouldn't cost the director anymore. It wouldn't cost anybody. And as a tournament director, Mike, if all of a sudden, there was a $10 fee added to everybody's entry for that exclusive reason, will that hurt? Because ultimately, the beneficiaries of that tournament was not the fish. It was Children's Miracle Network. It was children with cancer.
$25,000.
And we need to remember,
Yeah.
When you're comparing apples to apples, children are way more valuable than any fish ever dreamed of being.
Right.
Would that, as a whole, would you see as a tournament director that could become a way of the future?
It could be, and if you're asking $10 per tournament addition to your entry fee, is that what you're saying?
$10 a team or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't.
Something like that.
Kind of like a big bass fee. I mean,
Yeah.
I've just got to, first off, somebody's going to have to explain to me why boat motor traffic took the oxygen out of the water. That does not make sense. I'm not saying it's not true.
Yeah.
How do you generate? You stir up the water, pumping it in to kind of keep, your water in good shape. So how does a boat motor prop take the oxygen out of the water?
Oh, you've never been in a little creek or something and stomped the bottom up a bunch and all the fish started floating because of the mud in the water?
The quality of the water release there was not good. Even Randy, he said that's exactly what it was. He said, "Man, I didn't even think about it." He said, "I've never thought about that before."
So, but then I'm going to fall back to why us? Why the tournament people? It torques me.
Right. No, you're right. Randy did not have to do
right,
this.
Yes. I mean, why? I mean, these are the tournament directors, the sponsors, the dealerships, the tournament fishermen are the only one held responsible for a fish dying when everybody else out there is killing 100% of the fish they catch.
Well, you bring up a good point. Why not just make it catch it and keep it tournaments? You go up there and you weigh your 5 fish and then you take them home and you eat them.
That's one of the suggestions I made on Facebook. The other suggestion that's been made, and there's 2 things that he's going to change next year. Number one, he'll have a release barge. Going to a 3-fish tournament might also help solve some of the problem.
It will, but he's going to get a black eye.
Or limiting the number of weigh bags, which
That's it. That's the only thing right there. Yeah. But you're having to babysit people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The fishermen, you told me you can have 200 something people there. Every one of them will put a fish in a bag and get up there, seeing 100 people in line and go stand in line. That is your fish, is your responsibility until you hit the scales.
Right.
It does not fall under the tournament or the tournament
director. He died while I was standing in line rule.
Yeah, because you were too impatient to wait sitting in your boat with an aerator running.
And
and then wait until the line died down.
Exactly.
Fishermen do not once it's 3 o'clock. The tournament's over, their brain goes into neutral. Yeah. They just do. It's a fisherman's responsibility. I'm sitting here saying it's not right we get blamed for this, but I'm saying the fisherman has got to think there's too many people in the tanks. I'm not putting my fish in a bag and standing in line for 30 or 45 minutes. I'm leaving them in the boat until the line goes down.
I told Randy, I said, Randy, here's my opinion on this. It's a benefit tournament. There are people that will fish the benefit tournament that aren't going to fish a BFL, a Boss Tournament Trail, a Costa Series, a Bass Central Open. Tournament guys that fish those type of events, we understand the importance of fish care, and we take precautions to make sure our fish are alive. But you've got a bunch of people that fish. This is the only event they'll fish all year. They don't understand that. But I'm like you. I look up there and I see 20 people deep in the weighing line. Them suckers are going to stay in my live well.
Yes.
But the average person that doesn't fish tournaments.
I
don't
don't believe that's true. I don't believe there was that many people fishing the Despino tournament.
That
That's
don't
the
fish
only
other
fi-
tournaments?
No, that was 95% of the people down there that were good, hardcore tournament
A
fishermen.
lot of them are good guys. You're right. A lot of them are. Yep.
All right, sit tight. John Cox, FLW leading angler of the year. We're talking swim jigs and sight fishing. Starts at 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Sit tight. Hook it up, track it down. 11:30. The Tiger.
Welcome to the Hooking Up and Tracking Down Show, a program dedicated to the great outdoors and making you a better outdoorsman. So pull up a chair, kick back, and enjoy the best outdoor show around. I'm Jay Watley, here are your hosts, Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, and Steve Graff.
Hey, thanks a lot for spending time with us. We are hooking up and tracking down. It's Gary McCoy, the Ranger Daiwa Pro Staffer, Steve Graff, Old Mud Hen Mike Eccles, and hopefully we're going to get to visit with FLW leading angler John Cox here in just a little bit. I want to get right back real quickly while we're waiting on John to the issue with the dead fish and stuff like that. You know, one of the things that we mentioned last Wednesday on the other show was having a plan. Fish are going to die this time of the year. Well, they could die. They could die in any tournament. Mm-hmm. You know, you're going to have some mortality. It's having a plan for when they do die, and it's the public perception. Again, there it goes onto social media, you know, and that was my whole thing is have a plan for when they're lost. And you're going to have anglers that are going to come in that the fish will have died in the live well. And I wanted to commend you. We had several teams that had not as many as you would have thought, but we had several teams that came in with 1, 2, maybe 3 dead fish over the course of the Boss Championship. You had a plan, and I wanted to commend you for that. Now, obviously, once you put those fish back in the lake, if they were to die later, you know, that kind of robs you of all of your planning.
Right.
But I'm going to say that I have to agree with Mike in that, you know, it's sad that the tournament angler has to take the brunt of all the responsibility. You know, every fish that gets taken out of the lake was a tournament angler's fault.
Well,
you know, it didn't have anything to do with, you know, Dad taking his 9-year-old daughter out there, and they caught him a good mess of fish to eat.
right.
You know,
Well,
no, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with that either.
No, I agree.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing.
You know, now I like to ask Dad, hey, look, you know, if that fish is 3.5 pounds or bigger,
Right.
you know, throw it back, take
Consider
pictures
throwing it
with
back,
it.
yeah.
You know, but guess what? I don't own that fish.
Right.
I don't have any rights to that fish.
Right.
If that baby girl caught that fish and she wants to eat that fish,
Or mount it. Whatever.
whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Well,
Here's the sad part. This was instigated supposedly, and Randy actually found out who it was by a guide that was banned from the tournament.
Oh, wow.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Not banned from the tournament. Denied
entry.
Denied
because
entry. Yeah.
Guys
Yeah.
that got in the last 90 days are not
Right,
allowed to
right.
fish. This was instigated by this particular person and sent somebody down there to shoot the video so they could post this on. And Randy confronted the guy, and the guy admit he would have it taken down, so it got taken down. And I commend Randy for confronting, and saying, hey, this is not good for you as a guide. It's not good for fishing in general, and it's darn sure not good for my tournament trail that offers so much and has donated so much money to the Children's Miracle Network.
Right.
Why are we doing this? And so anyway, it got taken down, and again, I commend Randy for doing everything he can possibly do to.
Shut up, Graphics. We got a star.
We got a star.
Oh, yeah, buddy. On the Primo Target Hotline, FLW Leading Angler of the Year, John Cox. Hello, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Oh, guys, thanks for having me on.
So where are you right now?
Right now, I am back home. I got a couple weeks off before that last tournament, and we are on the way to the Springs to go swimming.
Hey!
Oh,
Wow.
hey.
So this is like a family day, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's about 100 degrees out. I don't know how long we're going to last, but we're going to go get some swimming in.
And where is home, John?
I'm in Orlando, Florida.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's the favorite place on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Well, John, and of course this time of year, you probably don't get to do much spending time with family and friends. I mean, normally you're on the tournament trail and headed for the next event. So one event left, and of course you're right there, leading angler of the year, and it's a real tight race. Let's see, who's behind you?
David Dudley.
He's never won anything, has he?
No, yeah. And I remember the last time he won, he won at Champlain and won Angler of the Year. So, hopefully it's my turn this time.
Well, one of the things we want to talk to you about, we've got a series we've been doing, John, called Lessons from the Pros, and it's really gone well. And we've talked everything from, we've had Denny Brower on talking about jig fishing, Ike and Ellie talking about drop shotting, Jimmy Houston last week talking spinnerbait fishing. Today, we want to focus on the swim jig, which kind of took off, I'd say, 5-6 years ago, maybe?
Probably longer than that.
Maybe longer than that, yeah. Time flies when you're having fun. That's your forte, isn't it?
Right. Well, I mean, I like doing it, and it's come into play on some really key fish the last couple tournaments, and and I mean, I think it, when it started, I think it started a long time ago, and I think a lot of guys kind of kept it more of a secret, and it was more of a thing, going on in Alabama, and it wasn't just so widespread like it is now. But it's just something I love doing. It's so versatile and everything. So you can just do so many things with it.
What are you looking for? What does swim jig water look like to you, John?
Believe it or not, you can throw it on pretty much any kind of bank you come to, any kind of shallow water bank. I mean, you get the boat on the bank, and you can catch fish on a swim jig. And it's just different ways of presenting it, in the different jigs. So, like in the last couple tournaments, on Chick, I was throwing it on a 50-pound X5. I was throwing the dirty jig, no jack swim jig in a white, and I was swimming it pretty fast on the surface around vegetation and wood and stuff like that. But another thing that would come in, is when you're on a little bit like on a different lake, with a little more steeper banks and stuff. You can actually go to that same swim jig, but just the standard one or the finesse one, and you can put it on some 15-pound fluorocarbon, and you can swim it at any depth, and you can put instead of, I was using a MaxNet meaty chunk when I was doing most of my swimming, but you could also put a swim bait on as a trailer and either like go down a rocky bank or fish points with it. It's so versatile. It's such a versatile bait. I mean, you can really almost every tournament you can get dialed in on some kind of place to catch fish on it.
What tells you, okay, this is going to be better with a swim jig than a spinnerbait, or even just the swim bait by itself?
Right. And a lot of times what I noticed is more of the time when the swim jig is better than just the spinner. I mean, for me, it's kind of replaced the spinnerbait. In some conditions, the only time that spinnerbait seems to really outfish that swim jig still is when you get like real cloudy, rainy, windy conditions. It seems like that spinnerbait does get some more bites in those kind of conditions, to where when the sun pops out and they kind of they'll more swipe at the spinnerbait. That's where that jig will they'll swallow that jig, because there's not so much there's not that huge wire arm, with blades on it and stuff. It's a little more finessey than the spinnerbait.
Why not a bladed jig?
Yeah, I mean, you could do the bladed jig too, but that for me the bladed jig is the same thing. Like when those conditions are right for it, the bladed jig does outperform the swim jig. For me, it's more like cloud cover, really cold water. For me, the bladed jig's more cooler water situations than like I'll throw the bladed jig a lot at the beginning of the year. When it's pre-spawn and stuff, and then once those fish get into the spawn and post-spawn, I really seem to go more swim jig, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's just
confidence.
I don't know. It's just something I've done for all those years. It just seems like when that water temp gets in that higher 70 range, into the 80s, it seems like just that jig really gets.
Well, what when you talk about the colder water, like a paddle, is there a general rule of thumb? Like I'm going to throw a paddle tail trailer versus, 60-degree water or less, and then go to the swimming tail in 65-degree water or more. Is there a general rule that you follow?
I have seen it play in different different temperatures. It's really hard. Like for me, it's more of a, I experiment throughout the tournament, throughout the day, throughout practice. And they sometimes they get on that paddle tail, swim bait trailer on the back of it a lot more than an actual chuck or a crawl trailer. But I just don't. I wish I knew. I mean, it would just eliminate so much. You'd be like, oh, this is what I'm going to put on there. But I really play with it, and if I'm getting swipes and I'm not really connecting on the fish, I'll change it up. Sometimes changing that trailer makes a huge difference.
What about colors? I mean, I'm assuming try to keep it pretty simple. I mean, what colors are in John Fox's box right now?
I do. I keep it really simple. I really, recently I've done really well with the white swim jig, and that's something I really never. I mean, I've thrown it before, but I've never really done well.
Now, is that in relation to a shad spawn? I mean, is that in conjunction with that?
Well, that's normally what I see a lot of guys do is throwing that shad spawn. That white seems to really work well. But I mean, even like at Chick, I was throwing it more around like where the bluegill beds were and stuff, and they just were so keyed in on that white. And I don't know if it's maybe because they weren't seeing it as much or what. I don't really understand why, but they did not want the Alabama brim one I would normally throw or the black and blue one I would normally throw. They didn't. They wouldn't. I couldn't get any chases on it. But when I bring that white one through, they would just inhale it.
Hey, John, here early in the spring, one of our sponsors and a good friend of ours, Johnny Geis, guide over on Lake Fork, was telling us that he was catching a lot of fish on a swim jig, throwing it in the bushes. And it was it was one of Tom Monsour's jigs, who is from up north, but he's known for many years of fishing a swim jig, and
right.
I went on it and I looked at a bunch of videos. And is this was more of a northern thing? But almost everything they pushed was like a smaller jig, an 8-ounce jig. Do you see a big advantage to throwing the smaller light wire hook jig, or do you stay with the heavy nuts and bolts and
3/8 half ounce?
Right.
Yeah.
So, I know Tom Mansour really well. He's a great guy. He's taught me a lot over the years, watching him and learning a lot from him, because every tournament he's swim jigging. I mean, that's just what he does, and he catches them every time, And what I noticed is more of what Tom Mansour does, and more of his style, with the lighter jig, the lighter wire hook, if they're throwing it on fluorocarbon. A lot of theirs is in deeper water. It's not. Well, no, I shouldn't say deep, but it's deeper off the bank grass, or they're throwing that in 3 to 5 to 10 feet of water, when a lot of the stuff I'm throwing is more of that like foot to maybe 3 foot at the max. And I'm usually using more heavier braid, and I'm working it a lot faster, rod tip up, and just reeling a lot of line and doing a lot of like pops with it and stuff, compared to like those guys like Mansour and are out there more just cranking it more slow reel on the spinnerbait kind of style.
Well, you mentioned that really shallow water. We want to talk some sight fishing with you. Have you got a minute to spend a little more time with us on some sight fishing? John Fox, FLW Elite.
Cox.
Cox. Why do I keep saying Fox? John Cox. I apologize. We're going to really go sight fishing with him here in just a sec. Hook it up, track it down, 11:30. The Tiger.
Not sure what to cook for dinner? Go to HUTDshow.com for some great mouth-watering recipes that's sure to please the hungry bunch at your house. This segment presented by Seaguar Fishing Line, Kamigatsu Hooks, Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Ranger Boats, and Daiwa Rods and Reels. Designed to outcast all other reels on the market today, Daiwa's T-Wing system has set the standard for all bait casting reels. Check out the entire Daiwa lineup at Bayou Outdoor Supercenter, Nichols Department Stores, and Toledo Town and Tackle.
They say nothing is worse for an angler than dead batteries, and I have to agree.
Catching no fish.
You get right where they are, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's done.
Yep.
Well, with Exodus batteries, you're never going to have that problem again. Lithium battery technology designed to give you more power and last longer. Zero maintenance. Absolutely no maintenance at all. 1/3 the weight of traditional lead-acid batteries. We're talking about most of your lead-acid batteries, 80 pounds.
Yeah.
These are 35, 20, 30 pounds in some cases. Exodus batteries also, if you ask for it, can get GPS tracking, that option to help protect your investment. Batteries designed with more power that will last twice as long as lead-acid batteries, saving you money. Go to ExodusPower.com to learn more about the best marine batteries on the market. Exodus batteries.
All right, we're back with John Cox, leading Angler of the Year with FLW Tour. John, sounds like you're ready to hit the water over there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Are you there? You good?
Yeah. We got to the park, and they just told us it was completely full. We're meeting like 30 people down here.
Oh, that ain't good. Well, John, we just talked swim jigs a little bit, and I know sight fishing is really big for you, and you utilize it a lot. Of course, there's 100 G questions I got on sight. I'm not a sight fisherman guy, but we live in the South, so our southern lakes like Toledo Bend, Sam Rayburn, a lot of times those lakes aren't conducive. Red River, they're not conducive to sight fishing. Is there a depth clarity or something that I know Arkansas up the northern lakes, it's much more prevalent. But is there a certain thing that depth you have to be able to see in order to make sight fishing effective?
You really can do it everywhere. Anywhere from whatever your water clarity is. You usually at least need about a foot to be able to see, and usually like some of those like Red River situations, where it's normally dirty. anywhere you can find some clean water, you can still sight fish there.
Right.
But that's normally what I try to look for. I try to look for, try to find the part of the lake where it's not real clear, where you can see down 10, 15 feet, but like where you can get in that like in between, like that, 4 to 5 foot range. Here the lady waved me on now. But I like to find that 4 and 5 foot range, kind of where I can get that middle, just that like middle depth where the fish, because when you get in that really clear water, you really can't, they're really hard to catch.
All right, we got spots. I was just waiting on a car count.
Well, John, for people like me that I don't sight fish because I can't see them.
Right.
It's just a vision thing, you know.
Well, and our water's kind of tannic. I mean, it's hard to see them.
Whoa, bull. We got some incredible sight fishermen around here. Jeff Holder, Terry Burkhart. It's us. It's not our lakes. Is there a, and I'm not looking for brands, but is there a series or of type of glasses that you really feel like will improve somebody's ability to see a fish on the bed?
It's mostly, what I've for all the years I've always used just anything I could get at Walmart. It's because I lose so many pairs of glasses. But just this last year, I've experimented a lot with the different new Costa lenses, and and just so instance, like you have like they have this new yellow lens that you can wear in the morning, and it's almost like turning the lights on. So like, on a cloudy day, rainy day, whatever it might be, you can still see in the water with these yellow lenses. And then I'll middle day, rest of the day, I usually go to like an amber lens, a dark amber, and that seems to really help lighten up the water where you can see a lot better, And I mean, and like you said, some people, just, have a hard time seeing, fish in the water or, fish on beds and stuff. And, the best thing to them is to try to just visualize, because I do it a lot too, because a lot of times, like you said, you go to these lakes and you can't see in the water, or that day of the tournament, the water comes up and you can't see where you were sight fishing before because the visibility just changed. And the best thing to do is like what I ended up doing, and especially in some of those tournaments where I lost, lost being able to see the fish, is I would take that, wacky rig general, and I would just throw that around where I thought the beds were. And believe it or not, a lot of them fish will eat that thing, on the initial fall, or even just dead sticking it just around those beds where you're not necessarily having to actually work the fish.
Of course, the number one question a lot of guys have when sight fishing: how do you know if that fish is hot and willing to bite that bait? Because you can spend a lot of time on one fish, can't you, John?
Right. Yeah, you can. I mean, I've spent some tournaments. For instance, I remember last year on the anti-trooper, I found this one that it had to be like a 13 or 14 pounder, and I spent almost the entire tournament trying to catch her, and I never caught her. And they suck you in sometimes. Sometimes you think like, oh, I can get this one, and it's sitting there and it's letting you bounce the bait off them and stuff, and you're just not able to catch that fish. And but the one thing I look for is when I go by a fish, I notice if when he swims off the bed and it sees me, if it acts like it doesn't really care that I just trolled right by him, and he kind of swims by, then I know I could probably get that fish to bite. And then, and then the other signs, if you go by and he doesn't even move, and those are usually the signs that, okay, you can catch those fish. You just might have to spend some time with them.
Because they're locked on.
Well, you see guys that have difference of opinion when it comes to, when the buck is there with them. Some guys are like, oh, no, I caught the buck, and that's going to screw everything up. Other guys are like, I went ahead and caught the buck and got it out of the way, and now I can catch her. What's your thinking on that?
So,
Hello?
We've lost you,
We
John.
lost you, John.
Yeah.
It was a really good question, wasn't it?
It was.
I mean, I've got him completely stumped.
I think he passed out. He went in that theme park.
Next week on Hooking Up and Tracking Down.
And I wish I had an answer for you, Gary, but I don't.
But you see both schools of thought.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You know, guys are one's like, oh, that's the worst thing ever. You know, you don't want to try to catch the buck.
But Mike is right though.
Okay, John's
John, you back?
Okay,
I'm back. All right, guys.
you got out of the tunnel. All right, now did you
tunnel.
hear the question?
Yep, I heard it. So,
Okay.
So what I've learned over all these years of doing this about pulling the buck early or leaving the buck or whatever it is, it really seems to depend how long that fish has been there, how long that fish has been on the bed. Normally when that fish is like just getting there, you throw in there. If you do catch the buck and they're not really quite laid yet, yeah, the female will sometimes leave and she'll go to another one. She'll find another one. Once that cycle's a little bit further along and they've laid the eggs, which the window there is only about a 6 to 8 to maybe 10-hour window, where you can throw in there and you can catch the buck and then throw very next cast and catch the female, and it's not a big deal. And then the same thing on the tail end of that, when that female is getting ready to leave, because she'll stay up there depending on, the water temp. If the water temp's really cold, she'll stay there for a few days. If the water temp's really warm, she'll be, there and gone within, 10 or 12 hours or so. It's just a lot quicker. But at that tail end, it's the same thing as that where if you pull that buck, she's ready to leave anyway. She's just going to go.
Well, you kind of answered my next question, because a lot of guys, you'll see a guy says, well, I found 26 fish on beds, in our pre-fishing that was yesterday, and I feel like I can go back and catch those. And in a lot of cases, those fish are still there, and so it could very well just have something to do with the water temp.
Right. Yeah. I mean, a lot of times if they're all still there, and that's some of the perfect situations that kind of happen, like when the tournament lines up and you get a really good push of fish the first day or two of practice, and then the event starts and they're all set up perfect. That does happen sometimes. It's just a lot of the times. A lot of times my thing is if I mark 20 fish on beds, and then I can normally count, I can probably catch 5 of them. Or the 5 of them will still be there.
Mm-hmm.
But you just don't know. It just all depends on the weather, the lake conditions.
Well, John, back to you being the leading and angler year points. You've got one more tournament. Where is that next tournament?
That next tournament's on Lake Champlain in Plattsburgh, New York.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite lakes. I mean, it's just an awesome place.
It was really kind of hard for them to find a lake any further from your home, Orlando to Lake Champlain.
Yeah.
Do you feel you're an accomplished smallmouth fisherman?
I mean, I don't know. I've because I've been doing this for so long. I mean, I started going up there with Jeremy Starks when I was like 17 and 18, and when I was right when I got out of high school and stuff. So I got to fish with a lot of those guys that fished up there a lot. So it really it really helped me. And then when I go up there, that's why I like going after the smallmouth. Just because we only have such a small window to catch them, and that's normally where we end up taking our summer vacation, because we usually finish somewhere up north, and we always end up finding ourselves on Champlain for a couple of weeks. So.
Well, you can also make a long run, can't you, and go catch largemouth. It's just it's a long run.
Right, and there's largemouth throughout the whole chain. I mean, through the whole lake. I mean, there's so many. That lake is so big and so massive, but it's just got so many fish. I'll go for smallmouth for the first 30 minutes to an hour, and if they're not really, I'll just bail on it and go. Make the long run and go try to catch some largemouth.
Well, I'm going to tell you, John, and you think I'm kidding, but this is the truth. The list of people that have been on, the anglers that have been on Hooking Up, Tracking Down, and then won their next tournament is getting longer.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
No, I'm not.
No pressure.
It's the
that we have been dubbed the 4-leaf clover for tournament anglers. So I'm telling you, this is really a plus for you.
Forget pre-fishing.
Yeah, you don't even have to go. You've got good mojo going right now. So, but we wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you. Make sure you don't have David Dudley on then.
We'll wait till after the tournament.
Yeah, wait till after the tournament.
John Cox, thank you so much for your time. Now you go swimming with the family.
There you go.
Oh, man. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right.
John Cox, FLW leading angler of the year, headed to Champlain. And, I'm going to tell you, when you think about that swim jig, when was the last time you threw one?
I have one tied on a lot now.
But
I fish a lot.
I'm talking about, just our average, regular, everyday angler. When's the
a lot of guys don't throw it.
A lot of guys are going to be throwing that chatterbait or the jackhammer or something like that.
Yep.
And
number one swimming jig fisherman in our part of the country. Number one. Name him.
Johnny Geis.
Well, no, I'm going to have to take it from him.
No, it's not me, Mike. I don't. I throw it.
I'm shocked.
Oh, I thought you'd lose.
Trey Morgan. Oh,
really? Trey throws
probably
a lot?
95% of the fish Trey Morgan catches, he's swimming a jig.
Well, that's good stuff to know.
He's a good jig fisherman, period.
Well, I'm going to still say Johnny Geis because he's next.
Well, Johnny's the best swim jig fisherman
on Lake
Fork.
Fork.
Yeah,
Okay. He's next. We are going to get a Lake Fork report from the man, Johnny Geis. Next, hook it up and track it down 11:30. The Tiger.
Don't forget you can catch us again Saturday mornings from 6 to 8 right here on 1130 The Tiger. This segment presented by Jimmy Grange's Natchitoches Ford Lincoln, Primo Targets, and Toledo Town and Tackle, your Toledo Bend fishing headquarters for live bait, tackle, apparel, and the top name brands in the bass fishing world. Also check out their awesome deli for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. That's Toledo Town and Tackle.
Here's this week's Paul's Farm and Garden little promo. If this summer, make Paul's Farm and Garden your gardening supply headquarters. Fertilizer, pesticides, plant food, anything you'll need to make your garden grow. Don't forget about the food plots, as they carry several different types of product that will keep your deer herd healthy all through the summer. A proud dealer of Purina products, that's Paul's Farm and Garden on North Market Street in Shreveport.
And on that Primo Target hotline with us right now, it is the man himself from Lake Fork, Johnny Geis. Hello, sir.
What you say, guys?
Hey, well, you know what? It's not up to us to say. We stand in awe of your presence. We constantly are bathing in the Johnny Geis glory of the big fish of Lake Fork.
Now, why is that? You want him to come try to catch some up with you? Hey, I got a fish story this week.
Tell us.
All right. Last week, I had a customer catch one fish that about 5 pounds, had real dark blotches on his head and on his pectoral fin. Okay, great. Next day, another customer catches that fish again. I got the picture twice. So third day, we catch that fish 3 times in one day. One guy out of 3 guys, he called Blackie. I just named that fish Blackie. He called Blackie 3 times, we turned it loose, and Dad gave it 2 days ago if we didn't catch it the next time. So 5 times, one fish turned back loose.
I saw that on your Facebook page, and I was wondering if that was a story. So you've now caught it the 4th time.
5th time.
5th time.
5th time.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a testament to...
How deep of water was this, Johnny?
It's about 20, 21 foot.
What?
They're ganged up. I'm catching just about every day we'll catch our best five weigh 30 pounds right now. It's unbelievable.
Wow. Now you had a young man the other day that caught his personal best and then beat his own personal best. Did I see that on your Facebook page?
Yeah, his personal best was 5, and he went from 5 to 5.5 to 650, and it ended up the last day he put the rod in the rod holder to net his dad's 7-pounder, and he caught an 803. So he moved right up 3 times.
That little kid is a customer for life.
Oh, yeah,
isn't he?
yeah. He's done. That sucker will be there every week.
I want you to think about that, though, Johnny. You know, not only have you made some incredible memories for that young man and his dad, but it could very well be that you just don't know what kind of impact you'll have on his life 20 years down the road.
Yeah, the young man's name's Riley Mogul. They're from Monroe. His dad, Forrest, brought him over 3 years ago, and it was kind of a cold spring day. He fished his heart out. His dad caught him. I caught a few. And he just couldn't get one in the boat. And at 4:30 needed, I said, well, that's about it, guys. The young man, he just cried. And I thought he was just mad. But he was upset he didn't catch fish. Well, the next year he caught more. And, man, he is hooked now. He's 14 now, and he's coming every year once or twice to catch some big ones.
Well, Johnny, what's probably the most rewarding part of your job? Sure, you catch fish every day and you get to go do that, but what is your greatest memory, or what stands out for you as the most impact that you have on guys?
Well, I love the family groups, Steve, and I love, the kids. I raised 2 boys and girls, too, and I really like taking time with them, getting excited about it, getting involved. I had a little 3-year-old young man. It's on my Facebook, too. And all this kid wanted to do was hold a rod and reel all day. And I'd hold the back end of that big rod, and he'd get a fish on. And, of course, he couldn't hang on the rod too good, so we helped him a little bit. Then he'd jump down and get the dip net and net up his own fish. So
you know how many lives you have ruined, Johnny Geis, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, you got guys in bass boats right now when they're supposed to be at work.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, it's an awesome deal. I gave my new Dobbins rods a workout this past 2 weeks. I tell you what, these fish are biting good on fork. The crappie are biting even better. I just hadn't had time to even go try them. So,
well, if I'm not mistaken, you were able on several of these trips. Somebody wanted to go catch a bunch of white bass, and you were just stroking those as well.
Yeah, we do that quite often, especially to show electronics. You can really show what a bunch of fish looks like when you get on those big sand bass. And we'll go through that school. We'll catch some on swim baits, jig and spoon. And then I'll cut the head off the bluegill, a little Carolina rig head. And not only will we catch sand bass, a big channel cat, we end up catching some 6, 7, 8 pound fish that's biting on the dead gum bluegill head. Now, go figure.
The bluegill head.
Hey,
Only Johnny Geis can catch
I'm
fish on
telling
bluegill
you,
head.
when we were there at what is it, Tiffany's?
Tiffany's, yeah.
When we were there at Tiffany's, one of the other guys said, "Only Johnny Geis,
Only Johnny
Geis
Yep.
can make that happen."
Johnny, where are y'all at? Where are y'all at over there right now? As far as the, we just had the Boss Championship on Cross Lake, and the majority of the people were. They felt like they had to catch their fish by 7 or 7:30 because of the shad spawn, and then the bite was almost non-existent the rest of the day. Is there any of that still going on Fork?
No, our shad spawn ended up about 2 weeks ago. There's a bluegill bedding going on, and there's still some fish shallow. In fact, I actually heard a guy caught 3 fish sight fishing about 3 days ago on this new moon. I didn't think there'd still be some doing that. But there's a few fish shallow, but the shad spawn's kind of wound down a little bit right now. And each day, all these deep holes are loading up. In fact, Steve, where you caught the 8.5-pounder bell hump, you know right where it was. I pulled up there Monday, and we had 22 bass by noon that day, and it was fast and furious, that same place you caught the big ones.
Wow.
22.
Wow.
22 of the big turkeys.
Now, Johnny, when somebody books a trip with you, and you're taking them out, and they've never gone with you before. Maybe they've seen your stuff on Facebook, or they went to your LakeForkBigFish.com website. Maybe they saw some of that. How often do they go, I really had no idea how good this is?
That's absolutely everybody, Gary, that comes to. I mean, we're so used to catching one big one every once in a while and moving on. That's probably the only one there. But to see how many big fish can gang up in one spot. I mean, I get amazed daily or weekly at least of how good it can really get when they turn on. Now, you be there 2 hours earlier, they're not biting, they're not up on that feeding area. You're thinking, well, there's not a fish on this hole. And then when you hit it right, it's total chaos. We get 2 or 3 on at the same time, and it lasts for about an hour and a half. And move on to the next spot, and here we go again. So,
You know what it reminds me? Reminds me back in the day on Toledo Bend when Robert and William Hale would pull up to some of those deep river holes and stuff like that. It was essentially the same thing. You know, that school would be there, and obviously, you know, at that point, you know, they were either catching them on a worm or a mud bug or something along those lines. But you could catch all of your tournament winning fish, right there in that one spot.
Well, it's sure fishing that way on Fork, and it usually does. I mean, it happens about the second week in May, and it'll go on through about the first week or so in August. And it's just amazing how many big fish that do that. So what a great time to get out there and catch some of them.
Bubba Hadaway just texted me, and he says, you know, when you got a fish that bites 5 times in a week, that fish wants to go home for dinner.
Well, I told somebody, unfortunately, if that fish had caught black when I grew up in Louisiana, it wouldn't have been bit but one time. We'd be frying it.
Exactly.
Hey, do you have any holes while, you know, for guide trips while this is so hot and heavy?
Yeah, right now we got the big Cedar Owners Tournament coming on this weekend. The Big Ten's up. They'll probably have 2,500 people fishing. So my buddy Clint Eby and I, we're driving down to the Texas Team Trail Tournament Championship down in Belton, Texas. Neither one of us have ever been on the lake, but we're going to win us a Ranger boat this weekend.
I heard 12 pounds a day, and you can win the tournament.
I don't think that'll probably do it. We're going to catch 30 and see how that'll work.
Okay. Hey, you go ahead, cowboy.
All right, so when somebody wants to get in a boat with Johnny Geis, I mean, you've made it so hard to find you.
I'll tell you what, guys, I do have some great dates open the last 2 weeks of June. So if somebody wants to slip over and try this out, we can get it done in a half day if that's all you want to fish. But it's call me at 972-800-3882, 972-800-3882. Look at that, my Johnny Geis Fishing Guide Facebook page. I post daily on that, and little stories about what's going on in fishing. That's pretty interesting. And, man, I've had some great listeners come over. Freeport said, hey, I'm mad at those hooking up, tracking down. They said it was good, but they didn't say it was this heck good.
You know what? You just mentioned the Skeeter Owners Tournament this weekend. Any advice for any of our guys headed that way?
Yeah, boy, they're going to catch a bunch of overs. You know, being over the slot, still going to be a lot of check one with unders, and that's what you really target when you come to Fork is get you a few checks and then try to catch that old big fish. They're biting football jigs, and you know you can't use live bait obviously on tournament. 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce football jig drug on some of these deep holes. A big long shaky head being him, long worm with the heavy shaky head. That's working pretty good. Drop shots catching fish. And that swim jig I use, a Dan Bro Varney swim jig, and you can go shallow and throw that around the vegetation, and you're going to catch some good solid unders. So that's what I do if I was to go fishing.
You know what? Now I want to get you to explain one thing because you just mentioned something. Dragging the football jig. You don't hop your football jig, do you? You literally do just drag it.
At this time of year, we do because they're kind of feeding on the bottom. There's a lot of shell beds, and when you're in the right spot, you'll feel that real rough bottom. It's almost like it's chunk rock, but it's not. It's little mussel shells that are going. Dragging it in a little bit later in the summer when the fish start kind of spinning up, we'll what they call stroke it. You know, you'll hop it up maybe 3 or 4 foot, and they'll hit it on the fall. So you'll actually change up. But right now, it's a drag rig, and it's just like a crawfish shooting around those mussel shells, and you'll get bit that way. It's a pretty good fish.
You left one out, Johnny, on technique. Drop shot rig with the brim head.
That'll work too. I do that every once in a while. Just look and see there, but. Catfish, white bass, and few blacks. But, hey, it's all fun. Obviously, catch and release works when you catch that big fish over and over and over. And, man, everybody takes care of the resource, and it's amazing how much fun everybody can have.
Amen. Amen.
Yep.
And where is Lake Fork right now, level wise? I mean, are you at pool, above, below, what?
Yeah, they keep it. Our Spain River Authority, they keep it right at pool. And every time we get a rain, they start opening the gate. It kind of knocks our bite down a little bit, but not too bad. And the lake is just perfect. It's right on pool, and it has been for a while. And last fall we were worried about the lake. It was fishing tough. We thought we didn't have as many fish, but hey, we just wasn't good fishermen, I guess, because this fish is good now as it has in years.
Fantastic. LakeForkBigFish.com. Johnny Geis, his guide page on Facebook. Check those out. And Johnny, I don't know what these other two knuckleheads are waiting on. I'm ready.
I'm just waiting on y'all to say let's go. I'd go anytime.
I got a truck outside right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm ready.
But I'll be fishing tournaments the rest of this week. Got everything booked up next week except Wednesday. After that, I got some open dates. So just give me a call, guys. Let's go.
Fantastic. Johnny Geis, Lake Fork, make it happen. We are hooking up and tracking down 11:30, the Tiger.
Find a horse and cart.
We hope you have enjoyed today's show, and hopefully you've learned something that'll make you a better outdoorsman. This final segment presented by Spro Lures, Nichols Department Stores, Cypress Knee Outdoors, and Lake Fork guide Johnny Geis. One more time, here's Gary, Steve, and Mike.
And Mike's got for us our Iowa best times to fish.
I might. Here's your Iowa's best times to fish. This weekend is rated as very good for Friday, fair on Saturday, and stay at home poor on Sunday. We will be under a moon increase from 15 to 35% by Sunday night.
Stay at home, you might be under the moon.
That's right. Yeah. Or over it, one of the two. Temperatures will be in the high 90s. The high 90s with lows dipping into the lower 70s. There's only a slight chance of rain all weekend. Best times to fish are going to be early to late evening. Friday, 3:58 to 6:58 p.m. Sunrise 6:07, sunset 8:20. Saturday, 4:54 to 7:54 p.m. Sunrise 6:07, sunset 8:21. Sunday, make sure you're out there if you're going to go fishing. 5:47 to 8:47 p.m. Sunrise 6:07, sunset 8:21. This has been your Iowa best time to fish.
Okay, question for you. Mm-hmm. You were on Toledo Bend. Now, I noticed a bunch of water, especially in the afternoon hours on Cross Lake. It was 87, 88, 89 degrees in places.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you could get up in the woods and the water temperature would be, 83, 84.
Right.
You're on Toledo. There are no cypress trees to speak of.
Right.
Water temperature there.
84, 85 out on open lake.
Okay, so it's not warm enough yet for a thermocline.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
But that's on the way.
Even our shallow water now, our shallow water was kind of on the shady side of a tree line. So it was probably 83, 82.
Okay.
But,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, and real quick on as far as the weather, the next 2 days are really brutal for the rain. It's supposed to be 80, 90% chance the next 2 days. Then Saturday goes down to 20. So
maybe
a lot of rain coming.
It could very well be that you might be able to find some current fish somewhere.
Yeah.
If you get a little bit of rain in the next couple of days. Hey, our hooking up and tracking down a recipe of the week. This sounds good: cheesy pasta and deer sausage dinner. pasta and deer sausage. You'll be skipping the drive-thru tonight with this easy, cheesy pasta and deer sausage skillet dinner. Budget-friendly dinner, less than 15 minutes, a win-win, less than $10. Beat that.
Yeah,
if you want to see that and many more awesome recipes, go to HUTDshow.com.
Now, I want to remind everybody, if you're looking for something to fish this weekend, in Monroe, the Ronald McDonald House Big Bass Tournament will be Saturday and Sunday. Always been centered around the Ouachita River. Last few years, they've included Felsenthal into it, which a lot of the anglers like going up to Felsenthal and fishing. This year, they've got a big problem with high water, major high water on Ouachita River and Felsenthal. Although it is going down and it is somewhat accessible, they know a lot of people are not going to be able to launch on the Ouachita River. There's no parking places.
Wow.
Not very many parking places and ramps available at Felsenthal. So they've included in this Big Bass Tournament hourly weigh-in Lake D'Arbonne. They will actually have the tournament's going to be held out of the Ike Hamilton Arena, which is right on the side of Interstate in West Monroe, but you will be able to fish any of the three locations: Ouachita River, Felsenthal in Arkansas, and D'Arbonne. They have three separate weigh-in stations. The fish in Felsenthal will be caught, weighed, and released back into the facility. The same thing on Lake D'Arbonne.
Oh, fantastic.
And they'll take the fish that are weighed in at the tournament site. Will be only be the fish caught out of Ouachita River and LDW.
Now, where are you going to be? Which one of them?
I'll be at the tournament site at Ike Hamilton. Ike Hamilton.
How many have you been doing it? What, 20 years now?
Oh,
You've been doing
no. Alan Butler did it for like 19 years, and Alan's health got bad. And I was trying to figure out how long I've been doing it the other day.
I know 5 or 6 years.
I can tell you if we can
Alan
figure
Butler,
out.
was he the guy that invented the little crawl worm?
No, he invented a little paddle-tail worm called the bass and eel.
Yeah, and the bass and crawl.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
That's him. I thought that's who that
tournament
was.
director over that part of the country and a good fisherman.
Good guy.
And lures, yeah. And anyway, the first year I did it was the year before the FLW All-American that Jacob Wheeler won on Cross Lake.
Oh, okay.
So if I could figure out when that was.
2007.
Okay.
I just came up with a year.
I know you did. I can tell that I'm full of crap. Look in your eye.
I got a question for
you.
you.
Did I look just like Ben Clemens there when I did that?
Shame on you.
I love you, Ben.
It's free fishing weekend this weekend.
Yes.
This event, can you fish and not have to have a license?
Not in Arkansas.
Yes. It's Arkansas, too.
Oh, okay.
It's Arkansas,
okay.
too. That same day. That's the reason they've incorporated Felsenthal back in it, and they picked this weekend to where
coincide with that.
Both states free fishing, no license.
Well, you know what? Because you mentioned
Good
that,
idea.
In the state of Louisiana, no license requirements this Saturday or Sunday.
Right.
But one of the things that is really cool, LDWF worked with Berkeley and was able to come up with some really cool prizes in a number of area lakes like Turner Pond and Minden. They've got one in Ruston, one in West Monroe. There's one in Grambling. That's just the North Louisiana area lakes. They have tagged a bunch of catfish.
Catfish, yep. You're correct.
And if you catch one of
Spoonbill?
those... No. No, they're channels. But if you catch one of these, the tag fish, you get a prize from Berkeley.
Yep.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
And it didn't cost you anything to go fishing there.
Exactly
Didn't even have to have a license.
That's exactly right.
So you might want to check that out.
And understand, even though it's free fishing weekend, all the fishing regulations, including size, season, catch limits, gear restrictions, all that still is in effect. So it still helps you to know the rules wherever you're fishing.
You mentioned D'Arbonne. Of those 3 bodies of water, D'Arbonne's the only one that I've ever fished on. Mm-hmm. An incredible fishery. Yeah. Would you say that if you were going to fish that tournament, that'd be the one that you...
Hands down, it'll be one on D'Arbonne.
Yeah.
But because of the lack of pressure on the other bodies of waters, there's going to be a lot of hours won there. I honestly believe
because you won't have nearly as much boat traffic.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. You know.
But how is it? I mean, is it dangerously high?
It won't be there on side I-20 where I'm going to be.
Okay.
Don't be high.
I will never see a boat wait where I'm at.
If you do, you got a problem.
Yeah. If I do, it'll be in the swimming pool at the hotel where we're staying.
Real quick, there's another big tournament coming up at Sam Rayburn's. The Father's Day Tournament presented by Outdoor Outlaws. This is an organization. They're kind of getting a good foothold over there at Sam Rayburn. They put on several tournaments a year, and they're always
You
very
said
well
Outdoor Outlaws.
Outdoor Outlaws.
No.
Yeah, I mean, Outlaw Outdoors.
There we go.
Sorry. Actually, you see why I got confused.
I know. Yeah.
Okay. It's a 3-fish limit. It's June 15th at Castle Boykin Pavilion on Sam Rayburn. First cast at 6 o'clock. Stop fishing at 3. $160 entry fee. And it's got $1,000 for the highest placing father-child team. I think that's cool. And free tackle packs for every kid that weighs in. Kids 15 years of age and younger. Free food and games at the weigh-in. It's just a great event. V&M is one of the sponsors of our show, Daiwa. They're also sponsors of this event. So, hey, great way to get away for Father's Day weekend.
The Thursday night tournaments on Cross Lake. Now, obviously, you had to knock off last week because of the off-limits for the Boss tournament. And you're not fishing this week, but you're back to...
And I'm not sure. Everybody needs to check onto it. The TNT, the one that we alternate weeks with, they might have a tournament this Saturday. I'm not sure.
This
I know
Saturday or this Thursday?
Thursday. I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah. Blah.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. So if you're fishing it, you better check into it. A lot of people thought because we didn't fish last week, we were going to fish this week. No, we're sticking to our schedule. We've got 2 more in June, and we will do our makeup July the 11th. Championship will be September the 28th out of the American Legion Saturday.
What's it taking to win these days? 3 fish.
Anywhere from 10 and a half to 13 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, it's good fish.
Well, you would think then with those kinds of weights that we would have had a lot better weights this past weekend on Cross Lake. So I'm wondering what
is there evening bite?
Exactly. I'm wondering if you're just a little bit different.
There's a lot of difference in daytime fishing out there and evening fishing.
Really?
I can't explain it, but it just is. Now next week too, I missed this one. The week that I was in Florida, laying in bed, y'all talked about a Toledo Bend creature.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I missed that. I know nothing about it. And
I found out what it is.
I know what Billy Phipps said it was.
That's what I was going to tell you. That's what Billy Phipps.
What Billy say?
Billy said it's Linda.
She didn't shave her legs.
Yeah. Billy said it's Linda.
I'm in Florida, and I get this text. Linda didn't shave her legs.
Yeah.
And I have no idea, the band singing.
The Sabine thing.
Obviously, Linda doesn't listen to the show.
No.
But I'm leading it. Next week, we're going to do a segment. You got to save this. You got to save me 2 segments. I'm going to be a star next week.
Okay, we'll make you a star.
The Cross Lake Monster.
There's a Cross Lake Monster?
Have you ever heard the story?
No.
I've never heard the story, and this one is 100% true.
Really?
Yes, sir.
The Cross Lake Monster.
Does it involve Claude?
It very well could. Yeah.
Real quick, I want to give you a college update.
Said he was surrounded by Bud Light cans.
He was the college national fishing championship is taking place right now, and kudos to Northwestern State. They're sitting in 26th going into day 2. They were in 9th going into the day. They've dropped to 26th, but the day is still going on. They're still fishing. Shreveport, LSU Shreveport is James Kimbrough and Ryan Ante are sitting in 31st, and so you can go on FLW Live right now and watch this event as they fish all day. So
Mike
Court just sent me a text. Yes, this Thursday, tomorrow, the TNT on Cross Lake. Be there at 4:15.
What an awesome guy Mike Court is.
He does a great job.
And just a quick reminder now, next week, next Wednesday, Todd Driscoll.
Yep.
Texas Parks and Wildlife biologist Todd Driscoll talking fish care and summer tournaments.
Yes.
That'll be something you want to check out.
Definitely.
Take us home, Brother Graff.
Whether you're a tournament angler or just a weekend warrior who loves to catch a few fish for dinner, make sure you follow these rules. 5 suggestions we have. Always be courteous on the water. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Number 2, take good care of the resource. Lakes, streams, rivers, boat ramps, other facilities. Don't throw trash overboard, especially old fishing line and plastic bottles. Number 4, take good care of your fish catch, especially if you're doing catch and release. And number 5, in the words of Bill Dance, keep what you can eat and release the rest to bite again another day. For Gary McCoy, Mike Eccles, Jay Wiley, yours truly, Steve Graff. Thank you for listening. Tune in this Saturday morning right here on 1130 The Tiger for more hooking up and tracking down.